so many other people here in the United Kingdom. That one of the floral tributes there that Tamara was talking about, people are being asked to, if they want to leave flowers, to leave them in Green Park. Susan Lusada, Her Majesty Lord Lieutenant of Bedfordshire, is also with us this morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. How do you feel being down here this morning?
Well, it's just an incredible experience to see the people down here, see all the tributes beginning to build, and just to be close to Buckingham Palace this morning.
Yeah. Talk to me about your role and what the Queen meant to you.
The role of Lord Lieutenant, so it's a really ancient role. It dates back to Henry VIII, where we were responsible for the law and order in the county and also the raising the local army. But nowadays we are the personal representative of His Majesty. We are there to uphold the dignity of the Crown. But probably nowadays, and actually you will see the Lord Lieutenants as many of the clips that you've seen on television recently, just by the side of the Queen is either somebody wearing the badge of office, as I am doing, or somebody in a uniform, and they're there to support the Queen. But more generally, the role of a Lord Lieutenant is to shine a light on everything that's good in the county, the people, the businesses, the voluntary sector, to support the uniformed services.
And you're new in the role, aren't you?
Oh, gosh, yes. I was actually made Lord Lieutenant of Bedfordshire on Wednesday at midnight, and of course less than 40 hours later, sadly, the Queen died.
Had you ever had an opportunity to meet her?
I've never met her, and that was so sad, but I'm hoping that I will meet the King in future years. But interestingly, like the monarchy, it is just seamless. So 1 minute I was Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Bedfordshire, and I just moved to be His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Bedfordshire.
I'm going to leave you to just take in the atmosphere here, but thank you very much indeed for taking the time to join us. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Oh, look who we got here. Hello. This is Jen and James. James and
Mark.
Mark. Hello. How old are you? How old are you? You're going to talk to me? I'm going to come down. There we go. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to get back up again, but we'll give it a go. Hello. Did you bring a note?
We did. What did you
Can I have a look?
Let's have a look.
Show me. Can I have
Just
a look?
open it up, because you drew a picture of the Queen.
Drew a picture of the Queen inside. Let me have a look. How do I open it? There. Oh, look at that. I haven't got my glasses on, so Tamara will read it for me.
Thank you for putting the great into Great Britain. You will be sadly missed. Love, Jennifer, Mark and James.
And there's a picture that James drew as well. Oh, that is so lovely. Why did you decide to come today, guys? I'll just pop those in now. You don't want to lose that note, do you? There we are.
Just a really sad time, I think, and want to pay our respects. She's been a great leader, and just important, I think, the monarchy is part of our heritage and our culture, so I think it is important to come.
What do you think, Mark?
I think you could not come in a way. We're so close to live so close to here, so to not come would have been a shame. To sort of see also the tributes everyone else has made to her as well. When you walk around the flower garden, and just to see what she meant to so many people, including us who lived here. During COVID, we used our exercise to ride down here every weekend with James and just sort of come and see Buckingham Palace. And no one was in, but it's just a place to come. In that time,
it's a focal
and
point
now
at the
well.
moment, isn't it? I suppose back in June when we were all gathered here in much happier times.
It was a completely different time. When we watched all of it at home with him, it was too busy, so we stayed at home, watched it on TV. We saw the fly past. One of the planes came straight over our house afterwards, and it was a real celebration. And then a few months later,
3 months,
it's not long at all. But we just had to feel like come and say thank you.
And how difficult do you think it's going to be for Charles to take over that mantle from his mother?
I think he has got a tough road ahead, but I think people are warming to him more than perhaps originally, and I think he will do a good job. I think we're all looking forward to seeing what he'll do and changes he'll make.
And William's certainly stepped up to the plate, hasn't he?
I think the family do around everybody. They all come together, and they have. And William has stepped up for a little while. I think you've noticed a lot of change in him over the last few years, and the way he's sort of come much more into public life. So I think he'll be a great support for Charles. It's good to see that you've got that line coming through with the 3 children as well. So hopefully a strong monarchy to come. Well, they were born. Yeah,
they're very similar.
Started school this week together.
Yeah. You're a gorgeous little boy, aren't you? Very quiet, though. I bet you're not this quiet at home, are you?
Not quite.
I'll let you get on.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Nice
Thank you. Thanks very much indeed. I've got a family over here as well. Hello. Hi. Your name?
Melissa.
Melissa?
Antonio.
Zoe.
Zoe? Beautiful name. Why did you feel that you wanted to come along today?
Well, it wasn't supposed to be like this. We were going to Rome and, well, this happened and we changed our flights in order to get here. Took us a while to do that, but...
Where were you coming from?
Mexico.
Oh, okay.
So what we did is that we stayed like 12 hours at the airport in order to get the next flight. And here we are.
Wow. Why was it so important to come?
Well, it's especially to show her, and she can, learn about respect and, all that is around the Queen and the monarchy.
What do you remember of the Queen, Zoe? Come round this way and then we can see you. Just come this way. There we go. What do you remember about the Queen?
That is...
She's very beautiful, wasn't she? And she had a beautiful crown.
Yes.
And everybody loved her.
Yes.
Yeah. And I bet you know quite a lot about Kate as well, don't you? And Meghan. The princesses. Very beautiful as well. We saw lots of pictures of them. And this is our beautiful palace.
Yes.
It's absolutely stunning, isn't it? Buckingham Palace.
She was impressed.
Yes, yeah.
First time for her here.
Yeah. And the Queen will be coming back here tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
She'll be resting here tomorrow. And then up into Westminster Hall, which is just over there where the Palace of Westminster is, and you can file past if you would like to. But it might take a long time, maybe not with a little one, but we are expecting up to 1 million people to do that. Gives you an idea how much she was loved.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to teach her about. Because we were talking about the Queen and the monarchy, and she was like, "But how is it?" And then that's why we came, so she can. She's very surprised to see people crying about the Queen.
Yeah.
And we're trying to explain her that it was really important for the London people in the UK.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I remember Diana dying back in 1997, and I took my little boy to Kensington Palace, and he was still in his buggy at the time, and we were queuing. And he said, "Why are we here, Mummy?" And I said, "We're here to tell the princess that we will look after her boys." And he said, "What's happened to the princess?" I said, "Sadly, she's died, son." He said, "Well, why doesn't the prince kiss her and wake her up again?"
Oh my gosh, like a fairy tale.
Yeah.
I know, it's a big thing for lots of little children. The Queen features in so many sort of children's books, and yeah, it is a big thing for families, and you really get that sense talking to people down here.
Yeah, we do. Let's bring in Reginda and Tina. Hi. Hi. How are you feeling?
A bit subdued, really, isn't it? It's a very sad time.
It is a sad time.
I was reflecting on it with Tamara earlier, and I was away when I first heard the news, very shocked but not surprised, obviously.
Yes.
And now I've sort of started to think about the Queen and memories of her that I will take with me. I mean, I'm guessing she's been a constant your whole life.
Definitely. I'm from Kenya. My background's from Kenya.
Oh, okay.
And I was looking at all the photographs, the old photos when she went to Kenya and all that. I mean, I was quite young then, but it brings back lots of memories. So, 70 years of reign. She's done a lot. A lot.
And what about you, Tina?
I actually came to the Diamond Jubilee as well.
Oh, did you?
And I was in the stage over there, and it was
That
lovely
only 3
seeing
months
them
ago. Oh, no, that was
that's the
Platinum
previous
Jubilee.
one. I went, and I've seen her when she's opened Parliament before. It's very sad, very, very sad. I came on Friday and there was more flowers then. It's quite sad. I know they have to move the flowers, but it would be lovely to see more out and about. It's going to be a change.
Definitely.
A definite change.
How are we feeling about Charles?
Very good. I mean, he's always been in the limelight anyway, so to see him at the throne, I think that's really, really good. He's been there for years and years, and he's going to follow his mum's footsteps. So, really happy to see him.
And he's
really
got
happy.
passion. He's got a passion for the country, for the wildlife, everything around him.
Yeah. And will you go to the lying in state? Will you try and go at Westminster Hall?
Well, we were talking about that. I don't know how busy it's going to be because I think crowds are going to...
I will tell you, it's going to be something like 1 million people potentially.
Really?
Yeah, 24 hours a day.
I'm going to we actually work for TfL, so I'm actually going to be working at the station.
So,
it'll be busy, won't it?
It will, yeah.
Well, we'll be thinking about you. Thank you. Thanks very much. I'll let you carry on, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Thanks a lot. We have seen tens of thousands of people here already, haven't we?
Absolutely, it's really picked up in the last hour, but it's interesting, people who are obviously just on their way to work, but they see some of those floral tributes and stop and just take a moment to take a look at them before going on their way. And there's a sense that this is, a piece of history and something that people want to experience, even if they haven't come down here specifically for that reason.
Yeah, indeed. And as I was saying, the Queen will be coming, brought to the Bow Room here, where she will rest overnight. Just tell me what the King and the Queen Consort will be doing today. Let me just hand that to you for a second.
So King Charles...
I don't know if we can have a little look around to see...
will be going to the Houses of Parliament today. There will be an address by both houses, so the Speaker of the Lords and the Speaker of the Commons will both be greeting King Charles. You remember that MPs had a 2-day and peers had a 2-day debate, and they will be pledging their allegiance to the new king, and then he will be responding to them, thanking them for their tributes, and talking about, no doubt, Britain's parliamentary traditions. This will be a big moment for him. He was in Parliament a few months ago, standing in for the Queen, his late mother, when she could not attend the state opening of Parliament due to health issues. But this will be his first address to both houses as king, and I'm sure MPs and peers will be absolutely packed in to Westminster Hall to hear that. It will be happening just after 10 o'clock. He'll be arriving at Westminster. We'll probably see the car leave Clarence House, where he was overnight. And then it won't take too long, this ceremony, because, of course, King Charles and the Queen Consort Camilla will have to fly to Scotland, to Edinburgh, to attend the memorial service for the Queen. That will be happening around 3 o'clock there, but significant moment in Westminster Hall, the oldest bit of Parliament, where MPs and peers will pack in to hear him.
Yeah, indeed so. Just taking a moment, really, to have a look around and to look at the palace, to see people mingling around. And it's sinking in, I suppose, now that originally it was shock that Her Majesty died very quickly. We saw those scenes, didn't we, in the House of Commons when we saw, I think it was Nadeem Zahawi who rushed to the side of the Prime Minister to tell him that the Queen was gravely ill.
Yes, although we now understand that she actually may have known that before she even went to Parliament. It was reported over the weekend that she found out the Queen was gravely ill about 9:30, and it would appear that what Nadeem Zahawi was telling her and then went over to tell Labour's Angela Rayner is that the palace were going to issue a statement imminently, so the public would then be aware, and that would kick off a process of it being covered in the media, people being aware of her illness. So it sounds like she had some knowledge of it already before going to Parliament to do her energy statement. You had no hint of it in Liz Truss's demeanour that she knew something very, very big was about to happen. So she knew, then found out that it was going to be announced publicly, and then of course we know the Prime Minister was informed of the Queen's death at 4:30 in the afternoon, which was some time before it made its way to the public. So yes, despite all the preparations, and you can see the plan being dusted off, although the cabinet have only been in place for a couple of days, they are all following a plan which has been in place, which has been rehearsed. The civil servants are telling them what to do. So when I've spoken to a couple of ministers last night, actually, Kay, and said, how is it going? And they said, it's on rails, everyone knows what they're doing.
Okay. Very good morning to you from Buckingham Palace. It is 8 o'clock on Monday, the 12th of September. Her final journey, King Charles prepares to lead a poignant procession alongside his mother's coffin as new details are released about how people can see the Queen lying in state. The King's speech, MPs and Lords will come together in Westminster Hall to hear from the new monarch in a special ceremony.
I'm here at St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh, where the King will hold a vigil with other members of the royal family.
Good morning from Aberdeen National Park in Kenya, where 70 years ago Her Majesty came here as a princess and returned home a queen.
In parts of the Commonwealth, mourning is accompanied by fresh questions about the role of the monarchy.
The Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda saying that he intends to hold a referendum on that country becoming a republic in the next 3 years, and there's signs that Jamaica and other nations may well follow suit.
Also this morning, the only light in the dark. Ukraine accuses retreating Russian military of attacking a power station, causing a blackout in Kharkiv.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service.
And a special report on how a young queen reinvented monarchy and built a family of nations from what was once an empire. Good morning from Buckingham Palace. King Charles III will lead a procession alongside his mother's coffin later as it's moved to St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh. The King will also give a speech to MPs and Lords in Westminster Hall this morning. New details have also been revealed this morning of how people can see the Queen lying in state, both in Scotland and London.
The King will start the first full week of his reign as the first weekend ended, in mourning and at work. In Parliament and in public, securing the political and popular consent that his mother could take for granted. His day will begin with an address to the members of the Lords and Commons in Westminster Hall before he travels to Scotland to rejoin the Queen on her final journey. It began in near silence, birdsong the accompaniment as the hearse left Balmoral on the slow road south. People lining the route to see the coffin even in rural Aberdeenshire, along with a guard of honour of tractors and horses. In nearby Ballater, they counted the Queen a neighbour.
It was quite overwhelming, to be honest. I'm very, very proud to be here. Very proud at the huge crowds that have turned out to be so respectful to the Queen and the royal family.
I think it's the end of an era. You know, it seems a very sombre moment.
It was important to just come along today and just show some respect and a thank you, really.
Across the four nations, there were proclamations and pageantry.
God save the King!
Three cheers and a gun salute for the monarch. And in Cardiff and Belfast. The King will visit them all in the coming days, but his first stop is Edinburgh, where the coffin arrived yesterday afternoon. Today, King Charles will lead a procession to St Giles Cathedral, where the Queen's body will lie in state for 24 hours, the start of a week of public display here and in London, after a final night among family in the privacy of the Palace of Holyrood House. Paul Kelso, Sky News.
Tamara, back with us again. One or two technical issues, as you can imagine, from time to time. But I just Tamara pointed out some of the flowers. We are being told, Tamara, just come this side so that you're not in the way of the camera. We are being told that they shouldn't, people who come here shouldn't be laying flowers.
Indeed,
but of course they want to.
Of course, there are loads of signs that you can't miss saying, please leave them in Green Park. But people do leave tributes here, and people have left some lovely framed photographs as well, and little messages, including some sweet ones for some children. I can see Ellie, age 7, over there. They've left some lovely little messages about what the Queen meant to them, and the staff here are transferring those over to Green Park, where they are forming an enormous
carpet, really, isn't
carpet,
it?
really, yeah, exactly, of flowers, and some really touching messages from people.
Yeah, and as far as the lying in state of the Queen is concerned, again, that will start on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Again, people who would like to pay their respects are being told, please, please, please don't bring flowers with you, and all sorts of other restrictions.
They're being warned of long queues, to bring appropriate things with them, to be careful if you've got small children with you. It could be a very long wait, but it is... Yes, 4 days in which the public will be able to see the Queen lie in state in Westminster. She will also lie in state tonight in Scotland, because after giving his address to both Houses of Parliament, which is happening about 10 o'clock this morning, Charles and the Queen Consort Camilla will fly to Edinburgh, where they will attend a memorial service for the Queen this afternoon. And of course, you know, Scotland was hugely important to the Queen, and today is all about Scotland. King Charles will also meet Nicola Sturgeon. Of course, although she has been very fulsome in her tribute to the Queen, she wants Scotland to have a referendum as soon as next year. So that's all in the background, what's happening with the Union, and Charles will be visiting all 4 nations this week as King in order to meet politicians there.
And also going with the Prime Minister, I think I might have said.
Yes, Liz
doesn't need
Liz
to
Truss,
go,
the Prime
but she's
Minister,
chosen to go anyway.
Indeed, she's going. We were told by Downing Street on Saturday night she will be going, although it's not a constitutional requirement, to the memorial services in Scotland, Belfast tomorrow and Wales on Friday, because she feels it's a significant moment of mourning. It was written up as her going on tour with the King, although that was not the word actually used by Downing Street. They have now clarified that it's not a tour, so although they haven't said exactly what the travel arrangements are and whether she'll be travelling with the King, we're not expecting kind of joint walkabouts or anything of that nature. They're very keen to clarify that it's not a tour, although she will be going to all the same locations as the King. Perhaps there were some eyebrows raised at the palace about the way that was briefed, and the suggestion that there was some political value in it. So I think the Downing Street now keen to stress that Liz Truss just feels it's important to be there at these moments of national significance.
OK, we'll talk about politics in a bit more detail in just a moment. We're joined by Sir Ed Davey then, but before that, let's bring in Tariq, Blanche and Sophie. Hi. Why did you feel the need to come today?
Well, we live close by, and you know, we most mornings I run around here, most mornings 3 or 4 times a week, and it's always I think it's important that we, reflect as a country, and that we pay our respects to someone who's highly respected. Yeah, probably the most respected person, one of the most respected people in this country.
Even in the world too.
In the world,
What does she mean to you, Blanche?
I think she represents stability. I mean, she's always been there ever since I've been alive, and she just represents somebody, I guess, who did her duty, who was always stable, was always there, a bit like your grandparents until they go. So it's a sad time, but also time to really reflect her life and all the things that she did for countries all around the world, not just for British people.
And how do you feel being here? Why did you feel that Buckingham Palace was the right place to come?
I just think it's part of history. It's a historic moment. I wanted my daughter to come, lay some flowers, and just feel part of that, and to pay our respects as well.
I think she wants to go.
Sophie
wants to go. So I better let you go. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Thanks a lot. When it came to the proclamation, all of the leaders of all the parties, both past and present, still alive, were there apart from one, I think I'm right in saying.
Yes, 6 former PMs were there. So we saw this astonishing sort of line-up of Boris Johnson deep in conversation with Gordon Brown, to be a fly on the wall there, Tony Blair, David Cameron, Theresa May, John Major, all there, and of course the current Prime Minister, and leaders of the opposition as well. Jeremy Corbyn did not attend, although I think he had the chance to. Keir Starmer was there, and leaders of opposition across the spectrum were allowed to attend as well.
OK, well, I think Another person that was there at the time was Sir Ed Davey. Hello.
Hi, Kate.
Hi. Have you been down before this morning?
I've just arrived. We've got the service in Parliament today where we're going to give our condolences to King Charles III on the sad death of his mother. And I think there's a sense of unity in Parliament at the moment. People are coming together in a combination of their grief and also their gratitude to the Queen for her huge, amazing service. And, the condolence messages we've had in Parliament during the debate, the tributes, I think they've been really heartfelt.
Difficult to gauge the mood, I think. I've been saying to my guests this morning, when we first heard, we were shocked but not surprised. And now that shock is turning to reflections of the Queen's life.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one can't help but think of the times that one has met her, or when we've seen him, everyone's talking about the Paddington moment, of course,
yes.
And the James Bond moment, when she made the whole nation laugh. And that was the great thing about her. She had this wonderful sense of humour, as well as that warmth and that compassion, as well as a sense of duty. So we are going to miss her very, very much.
Talk to me about later on this morning. I think it's about 10:30 when the King and the Queen Consort will come along to the Palace of Westminster. It's Westminster Hall, isn't it? Quite poignant, that particular part of the palace.
Well, that's right. The Queen has often addressed both Houses of Parliament in Westminster Hall on big state occasions, a Jubilee event or the visit of another head of state. So it's a part of Westminster which is resplendent with history. I think we'll all be very proud of our country, proud of our amazing monarchy, but it will also be a moment of reflection, as you said, a moment of great sadness.
How difficult, again, I put this to Anthony Selden earlier on today, the coronation, we don't know when that will be. Previously it was, 14 months, wasn't it, between the Queen knowing that she would become Queen and then subsequently being crowned. Do you think, given the challenges that the country is facing at the moment, that will have to be pared down?
I don't know. I mean, I imagine that's a big discussion at the moment within the royal household. At the moment, though, I think we're just hugely grateful to the way King Charles has shown himself. I mean, he's obviously must be hurting deeply at the moment, but he's had the amazing strength to show that he is now the king, and I think the whole country is united behind him.
Indeed so. I was away actually when the news broke, and then I saw images of you along with the other leaders at the proclamation. What was that like?
Well, it has this dual feeling that there's a sadness. I mean, when you're singing the national anthem, you're having to change what you've been doing your whole life.
Yeah.
So there is that sadness there, but there is that huge pride in our country and in our new monarch. And he will be a unifying force just like his mother was. And that's so special about our country.
I wonder if you have a thought on the sporting events being cancelled. I mean, particularly the football.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
a
a tough decision for everyone involved because it's this mixed feeling, isn't it? There's this desire to celebrate her life by celebrating our country and our sporting achievements, whilst also making sure you're being respectful in the way that is right too. So I don't envy the people who've had to make those really tough decisions.
Okay, it's good to talk to you. I'm going to go and chat to some more members of the crowd. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time. Thanks a lot. I've got an Australian family over here that I think can hello, hi, how are you? What's your name?
Kitty.
Kitty?
I'm Toby.
Chris.
I'm Rachel.
Well, we've got another one over here, so I don't want to miss anybody
Ryan.
out. Hi. Why did we feel that... Well, you obviously were coming anyway.
We were.
Okay. Yeah. Why did you feel the need to come down to the palace?
It's just a really monumental kind of time to be in London, and we wanted to come down and just get a feeling for what it was like to be here and pay our respects, obviously, to the Queen. And... yeah, we're all very sad. Everyone in Australia, I think, is very sad. It's a sad time, and we were planning, obviously, to be here anyway. We had planned to do a Buckingham Palace tour this morning, but that's all been cancelled, so we just wanted to come.
We're hearing actually from your Prime Minister speaking to one of my colleagues, Cordelia Lynch, about whether there would be a referendum on the monarchy or not in Australia. Not for now, we're being told.
Not for now. I couldn't see it. Too many people, even people who perhaps were for the Republic,
have been affected by this. You know, there's a lot of very, very moved people in Australia, and they're all feeling it, so I don't think he would step on that one for a little while.
What about you, kids? What did the Queen mean to you?
Well, obviously she was a pretty amazing woman. I never really knew much about her, but you know, I know she was monarch for a really long time.
70 years.
Yeah, longest reigning monarch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very sad.
Yeah, we now only have one queen left in the whole of the world. Did you know that?
Really?
Queen of Denmark.
Really?
What about you? What did you think?
I think, yeah, I didn't look much into her, but I did like having a queen, so it's going to be quite a change to have a king after having a queen for so long.
Yeah. Although we've got a queen consort.
I think my mum told me the other day, like 91% of the world have never seen a time where there wasn't a queen.
The queen wasn't on the throne,
Yeah, 70 years, even older than me. And what about you, young man?
Oh, well, the Queen is obviously very inspiring and a very inspiring figure in monarchy. And from all the media that I saw of her, I just thought she would have been a very lovely person.
Yeah.
And now we're here and, you know, we're in Buckingham Palace, and it's all very sad that she's not here because... You know, London's different without her, I imagine.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. I'm going to get out of the way, and then you can have a few moments to look at the palace. Thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate it. So, Tamara, you were telling me about 10:30 today we're going to see the King again. He's been quite present, hasn't he, in the past few days?
Oh, very much so. I mean, mourning his mother, but also having to take part in all these different events and meeting people he hasn't met before, including the Prime Minister, of course, was only in office for a day when this happened. He'll be going to give a speech to both Houses of Parliament in Westminster Hall, the oldest bit of the Palace of Westminster. You'll remember that MPs and peers gave tributes to the Queen in a Saturday session for about 7 hours. Hundreds of them spoke of their personal recollections, and at the end of that, what's called a humble address was passed by them, which is basically a direct call to the monarch, and they pledged the House's loyalty to Charles and their conviction he will strive to uphold the liberty and happiness of the people. And so that is what Lindsay Hoyle will present the King with, and King Charles will respond to that address, no doubt by thanking MPs and peers for their tributes to his mother and speaking a bit about Britain's constitutional traditions. It's not going to be a long address because, of course, he needs to fly to Edinburgh for the first of the memorial services, which will take place in all 4 nations. But King Charles is not a stranger to Westminster. He was there just a few months ago doing the state opening of Parliament, but his first address as King, and it will be packed to the rafters in there.
Thanks very much indeed, Tamara. Thank you. Let's just reflect back as we see people mingling here at Buckingham Palace again this morning. So many tens of thousands of people have already gathered to pay their respects to the Queen. Perhaps up to 1 million will be paying their respects at Westminster Hall as she lies in state from 5 o'clock on Wednesday evening to 6:30 on Monday morning a week today, when the funeral takes place at Westminster Abbey. And I suppose we could perhaps pause to remember when the Queen first learnt that her beloved father had died and she became Queen. She was actually away in Kenya with her new husband. She was just 26 years old, and she was taken for a walk by her husband, and the news was broken to her that she had left the UK as a princess and was returning as the Queen. Alistair Bunkle has more.
On the 5th of February 1952, Princess Elizabeth attended a service at St Philip's Church in the foothills of Mount Kenya. She didn't know it then, of course, but within hours her life would change completely. Early the following morning, her father King George died, and she became the Queen.
As we continue to remember our Queen, Queen Elizabeth II.
The pulpit was a gift from her and the Duke of Edinburgh, and her coat of arms still hangs in the church today. After her coronation, the Queen sent a section of the carpet that lay in Westminster Abbey that day to this small rural church, which must have had special memories for her.
She is part of the congregation. In the records, she's there.
She's part of your family?
She's part of our family, is part of our family. And being part of our family, she is part of us. And we are also mourning her death, and we are also part of the family that is mourning.
She spent her final evening as a princess at CHUK'S Lodge in the peace and quiet of Edinburgh National Park, surrounded by wildlife and sleeping in a treehouse on the edge of a watering hole. The treehouse was burnt down a few years later by the Mau Mau during the uprisings against British rule, but the hotel was rebuilt. And your father cooked for her?
My father cooked lunch for her, and she was telling us stories, how she was asking the question. Very jovial. She was making fun. Oh, the nicest very food. The food was very nice. They make jokes. Hey, because we have just get it from the farm right now. That is, oh, nice. I'll come back again.
What an honour, though, for your
she
father.
came back.
What an honour to cook for her.
Yeah, sure. It was a privilege anyway.
A handwritten note lists the animals they saw during their stay: waterbuck, baboon, elephants, and bull rhinos fighting in the morning. The Princess Elizabeth Suite is now the hotel's jewel in the crown. Memories of her stay are part of the history of this place.
I felt we have lost someone that had loved Kenya and Treetop Lodge as well, because this is the home of the royal family. So many people say this is her hotel. If you go outside and ask people, you said that's Queen's Hotel.
When Princess Elizabeth heard the news of her father's death, she cut the royal visit short and rushed back to London. But she returned to CHUK'S Lodge in 1983 to see the animals and the staff and spend time in the place where she enjoyed the final hours before her life changed forever. Alistair Bunkle, Sky News in Kenya.
Well, across the Commonwealth, people have been mourning the Queen and reflecting on her legacy. But her death has also reignited conflicted emotions in some of Britain's former colonies. Our correspondent Martha Kellner has the latest from Kingston in Jamaica.
It's clear just from being here for a short while that there's a huge amount of affection and admiration for Queen Elizabeth II and the role that she held here for so long. She visited Jamaica 6 times as monarch, the first time in 1953, less than 2 years after she became Queen. Her final visit was in 2002 and it marked the start of her Golden Jubilee celebrations. She was accompanied on that visit, as she was so often in her travels around the world, by her husband, the Duke of Edinburgh. And I think the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, perhaps encompassed the feelings many people have here about the Queen when he said her grace, elegance and humility will be remembered throughout the ages. But the Queen's death, perhaps unsurprisingly, has accelerated debates that have been around for a long while now about the colonialist past and about the future role of the monarchy in certain Commonwealth countries. We've seen displays of the complexities of that relationship in recent years, notably when the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, you may remember, paid a visit to Jamaica and the Bahamas earlier this year. And that trip was marked by calls for reparation payments, for an apology for slavery. And Prince William acknowledged that. He said in the wake of that trip that he wasn't sure how long the monarchy's days in the Caribbean would last. He acknowledged that they may very well be numbered, and there's been a hint of that just in the last couple of days. The Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda saying that he intends to hold a referendum on that country becoming a republic in the next 3 years, and there's signs that Jamaica and other nations may well follow suit.
So images from Buckingham Palace this morning, repositioned now to get a wider view